Alright, so DM Dave here. We're running on session 5 of our Dark Discoveries campaign. Let's just jump right into it, and we will have our druid Roland give us a summary of last week's events.
Alright. Well, 2 sessions ago we ended by defeating some Orcan scouts. And so we picked up right after that. And Sildar headed back to the town to alert the whole town of the scouts. However, during that battle, Lorimar found a gem that was letting off an aura that only he can see, or him and his treasure. And so we followed this aura through the mountains, through the wilderness, stopped for a long rest, and both Roland and Ghemash had some pretty strange dreams. Then we met a very cool owl, and we followed the trail a little bit longer, and we discovered an orc outpost. We met a very cool orc named John, and he just shared with us some great information. Ghemash destroyed 2 orcs by himself, while the rest of us were kind of waiting, hoping he would fail. And then we made it up to the orc camp, defeated a handful of orcs, and then chased them down to a cave. And at this cave, we had a pretty epic fight against Orcan Jailer, Orcan Executioner, and a pretty rough Blue Dragonborn that Ghemash had really a battle of rights against. And so we finally, the Dragonborn's name was Skerun. We finally won that battle, but not without 2 of us being underground almost dead, and 1 more being almost underground, and then Roland the Druid being absolutely fine like a man. And so after we destroyed these, we looked through a jail, met a pretty cool mouse, met a pretty cool hawk, found a beheaded drow, which has been a regular star of our cold opens, and we finally found some messages and found a new crystal, which Ghemash can see, that hopefully will lead us to our next location. And I think we just were finishing a long rest, and when we wake up, something cool might happen.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so we'll pick back up. We'll pick back up on that what you guys woke up to, but let's go ahead and check out your inspiration card first. So we'll let you roll again.
Uh, 10.
A 10. So let's see what we got for a 10. You get Trixie. This one is all your rogue class features and rogue archetype abilities have advantage for the entire encounter. Not great for you, but you could trade that one. You could give that one to Thomas.
Yeah, I'll trade you, Josh, because I got there's side quest. You and your allies must take a side quest, no cards until complete, or block attack, add proficiency.
So the interesting way
to the AC.
I play trades interesting. So he could give you a card, but you have to burn one of yours, so we don't like do straight trades. So it's like team effort here.
We could drop. Well, technically, we're not following side quests because we're not supposed to get any more of something, right? No more inspiration until we complete the side quest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Get rid of that crap.
Yeah, we can go ahead and burn that because we like inspiration.
Yeah.
Cool. Did you need me to rehash what I said that one did?
Yeah, real quick.
So it's the Trixie card, number 10. It's all instant effect, and all your rogue class features and roguish archetype abilities have advantage for the entire encounter or scene if it's non-combat.
Okay.
And while I am thinking about it, you guys are all leveled up to level 3, so let me get some revised ACs and passive perception for everyone. So we'll start off with Thor. You can give me your AC and passive perception.
It's still the same. 15 AC and 12 perception.
Okay, good. I'm doing this very slyly, like they changed on level 3, and not like I lost my card with it all written down.
Next level it's going to change when I get my ability improvement.
And then Roland, what do you have?
My typical AC is 14, and then +2 with shield. But
Okay.
I also picked up bark skin. So when I use that, my AC is gonna jump up to 16.
Okay.
And then passive perception is 16.
And Ghemash.
So mine stayed the same. That amazing armor class of 12.
Oh yeah.
And it's you can put a /17 next to it. That's what I'm using, Armor of Shadows. And then for my passive perception, I've got that whopping 8.
8. Perfect.
I get -2 to passive perception, man. I have -2 on my wisdom modifier.
And then let's hear Lorimar.
So it's 13 unless I'm using mage armor, and then it jumps up to 16.
And passive?
13.
There.
And
Okay.
and also note that when I'm using my Blade Singer, my AC actually jumps up to 19. And then I do become the tank of the party.
Yeah. Good deal. Alright, and that's for like a minute when you do blade singing, right?
Right, that's a minute, yeah.
Alright. So, yeah, you guys, we got the good summary from Josh there, and you guys had a interesting wake up, but we're not going to get into that until we do yet another cold open.
Nice.
So, this week, we get started off. We're going to see ourselves inside a very ornate, but darkened throne room or court, some formal room within a fancy establishment, and we see a regal individual seated on a chair. He's kind of slumping over with his hand on his chin, gazing in front of him. There's a mirror, and the image in the mirror looks like the surface of water. It's kind of flowing and fluid, and standing next to him is a female, and we've seen them before, but just to aid your visuals, this is what we see. That's the man sitting slumped over in the chair, and then next to him you see this, another elven female, tall, with her hand resting on his shoulder. And so they're both staring in this mirror, and the reflection is like a TV screen. It's showing you, adventurers, your party, and we see you traveling through the mountains as you are approaching the orc lookouts where you met John. So that's what we're seeing go on the screen, and you hear the female speak up.
Every moment we wait increases the risk you face, the risk our people face.
And as she says this, she's looking down at him, kind of turns his head towards her. He looks her in the eye.
Can we afford to act without being certain? Can you tell me you truly believe they can help?
She caresses his face and just looks at him intently.
My love, you have asked my thoughts on this. I will not force a decision upon you. I don't doubt their ability, but to pull them into something of this scale, I fear that will try even the strongest of motivations.
And this male elf, he's just gazing intently as you are conversing with John here, and you're going through the talks that you guys had last time, and he's just staring, very forlorn looking at all of your reflections. And they stand there in each other's presence for a little while until she looks off in the distance, and she starts to walk away from him. And as she's heading away, she just chimes in.
You continue observing and thinking. I believe I know a way to assuage our doubts. I must go speak with an old friend who may be able to assist.
And she starts walking out of the courtroom. You notice she rounds a corner, and he just goes back, hand on his chin, looking you guys advance towards the orc camp. And that's it for this week. So, for our main adventure, we are going to pick up, and your party has just embarked on a long rest, and this is after you had your adventure against Scaroon, and you immediately just like snap out of your rest from noises around you, and you if you get up and look around, you notice that everyone in your party is woken up at the same time, and you hear the clashing of swords, you hear the din of just general fighting off in the distance. In your immediate vicinity, you are no longer in the orc encampment, which you took your rest in. You are on a rocky outcrop, and there's a mountain to your side. And if you were to walk to the edge of the outcrop, you guys notice in the distance, you see the town of Phandolin with buildings ablaze, smoke pouring through the air, and there is a large number of orcs moving through the city, clashing, slaughtering townsfolk, and you see Sildar charging forward with some crudely armed people from the city trying to fight off these orcs. And we'll pick up from there. The show is yours.
Ghemash growls and tries to roll over like it's just another dream type thing. He's just like sick of this crap.
Do you think we guys got 10 minutes to use on the Rockstar recovery?
I don't know that this town can wait 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Or a mansion can't.
Roland will say, I have 10 minutes, but he'll point to a small child who's about to get hacked and say, I don't think that one has 10 minutes, though.
Ghemash, upon realizing everyone else is there, realizes it isn't a dream, and like looks around and is like, what the crap, and stands up.
It sounds like this town needs us right away.
They do.
So are we standing on top of a hill, you said?
Yes, you guys are. You are on a rocky outcrop. If you remember, you were standing on a similar outcrop when that the scouts, the orcs you took down, were observing the city. You're positioned in the same part of the city, but Roland, as you look around, you notice that the actual ground that you're on right now appears slightly different. The layout's the same. There's still boulders. You still see the hill to your side, but something about the area itself just seems off to you.
Did the crystal teleport us?
That's a good question.
It's because you said we were standing on the same place where we first picked up the crystal and found the lion, right?
Yeah, is Ghemash asking that? He's very smart.
Well, Let me see if Ghemash will put 2 and 2 together. This is gonna be fun. You want me to roll wisdom or intelligence?
Whatever you want.
Okay, I feel like this is like an intelligence thing. Okay, 15. So I would say he has suspicions that the crystals did this, but he's not gonna say anything specifically regarding it. He's gonna look at his.
Yeah, so you're holding the crystal that you guys found on the drow?
Yeah.
Okay. So you notice that when you go to check it out, earlier you felt the energy emanating through it, and it kind of pulsed to follow this path. You notice that now there's no path extending from it. It's just like a glowing aura that extends about a foot in just a radius around the crystal itself. It's all contained within the crystal.
So do the 2 of them act as like sender and receiver? Like they're connected?
Interesting.
Oh. Interesting. Okay. There's more pressing matters, but I'll talk about this with the group later. I put the crystal away after looking at it and like realizing this. And I start running down the slope towards the town.
Lorimar takes just a moment to cast Mage Armor on himself, and then he too starts running down the hill.
Would Ghemash be smart enough to do that? Oh, nat 20. Okay, I start casting my Armor of Shadows. Like I breathe smoke into my hand and kind of like smear it on my body, and it just turns into black, ethereal kind of armor.
Thor is
How far
gonna.
away are we?
So you guys are, it's about a little under a quarter mile off in the distance. Like you can make it there if you're running in about 2 to 3 minutes.
So, all important question: can I still see the mansion? Is it still standing?
Yeah, you can see it. It's you can see its smoldering remains.
Oh, you suck.
No,
I
I'm just
knew
kidding. Yeah, you can still see your mansion. They're actually avoiding. So if you guys remember the map, they've entered from the south part of town and they're working their way north. So they're kind of avoiding your mansion.
Thor is going to take a minute to assess that the mansion's still there and then head down the slope.
Telling you guys, we need to get some homeowners insurance.
I know.
And how about Roland? What do we have Roland doing?
I'll go ahead and cast Bark Skin. So basically, as I'm seeing this city burn and probably thinking more about the animals than people, I begin to get angry, and that causes all my skin to begin turning this like fire-hardened bark color.
All right. So who would lead the charge down the hill?
I'm probably the fastest.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I got 40
Well,
speed with my boots on, though.
Oh, that's right.
Uh,
Lorimar would be, he'd be in the back.
Ghemash is trying to outpace everyone, but they're obviously passing him.
So, just for the awesome sake of story, we'll say, Ghemash, your quick reaction, you start just barreling. You're going downhill, so you're using your heft to your advantage. And as you approach the edge of the clearing, you take a Dragonborn leap to cover ground and start your descent down the slope. And as you are flying through the air, when you cross the edge of the outcrop that starts descending, a force impacts you directly in your chest and propels you 20 feet backwards.
Oh, snap.
You leap forward, and twice the force shoots you immediately backwards. Roland, you're right behind him, and you're charging as well. Sorry, Roland, you're not. You're to his side, like you're behind him on the charge.
Oh, I was like Druid Pancake.
Catch me!
Notice me, senpai.
Roland, as your skin is progressively hardening and you're charging forward, you notice that as soon as Ghemash he hits this and starts rebounding backwards, you notice a slight shimmer and kind of rippling effect in the air where he began flying backwards. And you skid on the brakes, coming to an end right at the edge of the outcropping.
Or should we say skid on the barks? Oh.
I would probably reach my hand out and kind of like timidly try to touch this barrier.
Try to what?
Just try to like hook the barrier.
Yeah, so when you reach out, it feels, it's not a solid barrier like a wall you're hitting, but you feel as you push your hand through it, it's like you've got increasing tension, kind of like a spring.
Ghemash is gonna run and try and jump through it again.
Right. And now you get propelled upwards as well, so you arc like 20 feet into the air.
Did we just
And-
enter
and
that
you
sort of
land-
under the dome? Lorimar's
so you,
he's going to try to throw a firebolt into this thing to see if magic will, do anything to it.
Good. So when your firebolt hits where this barrier is, you notice that instead of hitting a wall and like exploding into a burst of fire, it gets absorbed into it, and you notice fire just like spread in a, not from impact, but from like dispersion. It spreads into a wall of flame.
Thor is going to come up to here and think, well, it's probably just those pitiful magic users just not letting in. So I'm going to come up and I'm going to try the same thing. I'm going to try to put my hand through the force field.
So yeah, you feel that you feel a slight give, but to you it feels similar to the spring effect. Your arm starts to go through, but then something in your body starts getting pulled back. And as you guys are looking at this and everyone's kind of poking and prodding it, you hear a whirring sound behind you, like kind of a pulsating, and then you hear some skidding, and on the ground, stumbling onto his chest, you notice an elf who just appeared from the mountain itself. Just stumbles forward into the clearing, and he's laying in the dust. He's breathing. He's breathing heavily. He's out of breath and panting, and kind of pushes himself up on his arms. And you notice that this elf is wearing an orange type tunic with leather pants, long white, almost white blonde hair, and his face is gashed and bloody, not from cuts, but as if when you're running through the forest and things are whipping across your face, small cuts like from brambles. He pushes himself forward and he looks up at you, and he just kind of cocks his head to the side, confused.
I look at him, and I'm gonna like kind of like yell at him, like, if this is your doing, take down the barrier now!
It's clearly not his doing. An elf would not do this.
I kind of just look at Lorimar sarcastically and just start striding towards his elf.
Yeah, with by this time he's kind of pushing himself up to his knees, and he's pointing at the town. And Lorimar, you hear him say in Elven, he goes, "What is this? Where am I?" And he's progressively standing up, very frantically.
This is Phandolin, friend. You're in the Sword Coast.
And where do you come from?
Oh, nice, Thor. Do you speak Elvish?
I'm half elf, yeah.
Nice, cool.
The other half.
Good. So he
You're
hears
better
this
at it.
and you notice him looking over his shoulder frantically on both sides, and he's confused. Like it's too much for him to process right in this moment. He goes, "I am from the Grove. And he goes, we must go." And he tries walking away, and then he notices this large dragonborn standing in front of him, and he kind of just stops in his tracks, and he points forward. He goes, "What is this battle?"
And he says that to me in Elvish?
He's just kind of talking in general now. He's just trying to process what has happened to him.
So I'm gonna say to him in Elvish, it's like, you know as much as we do. We were just thrust here, much as yourself.
And noticing that you and Lorimar have spoken to him in his native tongue, he looks at you. He goes, "Are the beasts here? Do they plague you too?"
We do not know of what beast you talk.
And he begins to start striding forward, and at this moment, you hear a pulsating again, and more forcefully, just rocketing through straight out of the mountain itself, you notice that an antler bursts through this elf's chest, and blood goes flying, and this elf starts getting lifted in the air on this set of antlers, and you see this perched on the ground with an elf impaled on the antler. Blood-stained antlers with large feathered wings, sharp talons, and a vicious-looking face.
I know what this is, but I don't think Ghemash does.
Would Lorimar know what this is?
Yes, you would.
Well,
So if you want,
maybe.
so you may not. So with an 8, you may not be familiar with its specific tendencies and trends, but you recognize the creature, and you can, if you need me to tell you, I can. But you can kind of relate it to anyone as you want. But this creature is just standing on its hind legs with this elf that it's been pursuing for a while on its antlers, and then it sees everyone else, and it kind of shakes the elf off and prepares to attack. And we'll get into our first initiative.
Wow. Roland, I'm looking to you as a druid. Is this an animal? I mean, this is no natural beast.
I'm pretty sure that Roland has never seen anything like this before. Unless, I don't know, Dave, has he?
So, so unlikely. This creature is predominantly known in the Feywild.
Okay. Yeah. This is not a creature of our realm. This comes from my realm.
Yeah, and so you would recognize this. Patrick, you know that these are very vicious creatures. You know when they do attack, they are unrelenting and they will fight to the death. That's about all you can remember on them right now.
How big is it?
So, thank you. So, with wingspan and everything, I'd say about the size of like a bear within our world. So, a smaller bear, not like a large grizzly. Probably between 200 pounds or so, and the wingspan would approach 8 feet, 8 to 9 feet fully stretched.
Wow.
Is it flying now, or is it on the ground?
No, it's perched on the ground, and it has just slung this elf off of its antlers. And so it is rolled for initiative, and Patrick, let's remember the Tressum as well, Solarian.
Alright. Well, my initiative is
Nice nat 20.
awesome. Yeah, I just wasted it on initiative. So that's a 23.
Well, my initiative
Alright.
sucks.
I got a 9.
Yeah.
9 for Thor.
The ice cream is
And
just
Roland?
working on my screen for a reason, but I got 17.
17 for Roland. What was that for you,
Solarian got
Ghemash?
15.
I got a 4. I have no modifier for Dex.
Nice. Okay, well, you guys. Oh wait, never mind. I was gonna say you all go before it, but it goes right before you, Ghemash,
Oh man.
because it has a 1 modifier for Dex.
Way to go, Periton. Very nice.
All right, so I'll type it in here so we are all aware. We're going to go Lorimar, Roland, Solarian, Thor, Periton, and Ghemash.
Great.
So it is all you, Lorimar.
Alright, so Lorimar, recognizing that this is not a creature to be trifled with, he doesn't rush right in, but instead he just outstretches his hands, and these just bursts of like energy just go flying out, and these 3 cubes of energy just slam into the Periton. For 8 damage.
Right. Okay, so you see him starting to flap his wings to take off the ground directly as these bolts just hit him, and they kind of stun him from continuing. And the couple inches that it started levitating drops back down to the ground momentarily. And Roland, what do we got?
I will just cast Fairy Fire on it as my action, so that'll be a Dexterity saving throw, DC 16, I believe.
All right, it does not make it.
All right, so out of my pendant, it's like some Pocahontas stuff, and these vibrant colors shoot out of it, and so it's all around it is highlighted in, let's go, pink light, and we have advantage at all attacks against it. And
Perfect.
not knowing what animal would be best against this, I will just draw my shield and walk up to it like a man.
Very good. And so let's move on to Solarian. How's Solarian facing this?
Solarian knows this beast, I would think, and
Yeah.
you just see her just like hissing, and then just like comes tearing at it in a rage. Claws just eating. And it's is 12.
So that will not hit. So
You rolled the advantage. Fairy Fire.
Oh, true.
Great.
Nice.
Oh. Yeah, 21.
That'll hit. So
So that is 6 points of damage as her claws just come raking in.
yeah, good. So I imagine Solarian goes in and hovers near the trying to get to the back of the beast, kind of scratching at the back of its neck and doing some good scrapes. A bit of feathers go flying. And Thor, you're up.
Seeing that Solarian is kind of around this creature's head, Thor is gonna draw his rapier and charge the creature while it's being distracted. So I get advantage anyways. And that's gonna be a 16.
That will hit.
Alright, and So that's gonna be 1d8 plus 2d6 for my sneak attack. And that's gonna be 16 plus 4, 20 points of damage.
All right, 20 points of damage. That is good. So,
I get 2 d6s for my sneak attack at level 3.
that's crazy. Good. Yeah. So you so this bird is getting scraped in the back by Solarian, and it's distracted momentarily, and it turns its head, opening up part of its breast, and you thrust the rapier deep into the core of its body, and as you remove the rapier, a spurt of blood goes flying out, and you notice a steady stream emerging from the puncture site as this beast just howls in pain and anger, and kind of turns its senses on, and it comes back to. So you notice that it rears its antlers towards you. Oh God, let me roll on this chart for a moment.
Oh no.
Oh no, it's not
It's a
not
fumble.
good, not bad for you. It's a fumble. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, but it's not a critical fumble. So nothing there. So yeah, we'll say your quick reflexes, they let you just barely nudge out of the way as it sweeps these antlers right across your clothes. But this allows it to clear enough room to flap its wings and gain some ground on the air. It levitates to about 10 feet off the ground. You notice it drop down into a dive and pulls up at the last second, trying to scrape its claws across Lorimar's face for blasting it earlier. And it pulls up a little too quickly, and its claws scrape just short, so it finishes flapping up a little bit more, and it's now about 15 feet off the ground, directly over the middle of you guys. And we will move to Ghamash's turn.
So you said it's 15 feet in the air?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know if Ghemash can jump that high, guys. Let's see. But I can do this. Would you allow me to Misty Step onto its back?
I was gonna do that. That's awesome.
Oh, I will. Yeah.
Okay, so you see Ghemash, he kind of looks up at this thing and like narrows his eyes and growls. And he opens his mouth and breathes sparks into his hands. And he puts his hand over his eyes, and his body like falls into the ground of electricity and shoots upwards, and he appears on the Periton's back.
Nice.
Okay, and that's my action, right? That's
No,
an
that's a
action.
bonus action.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm gonna grab onto his antlers and grapple it and kind of swing it down towards the ground.
All right. So. All right. So as you are on the back of this creature, immediately it starts plummeting from your combined weight, since it can't continue beating its wings. And with the wrenching of its antlers, it starts to go into a barrel roll.
Oh.
And you, both of you, start veering off towards the mountain. And you're plummeting quickly. You're about 5 feet off the ground as you impact into this mountain. And both of you are then shot like a pinball off back into the middle of the group. And
Oh. Awesome.
Roland, you have a flying Ghemash just coming straight towards you, and you guys both get skid back to the very far edge of the clearing. No damage, and the Periton comes sliding to the feet of Lorimar, whose turn it is.
All right. Lorimar just seeing it drop at his feet, just you see him just kind of like grab his blade, and it just seems to have this power. It's different than the green power that's usually on there, and he just stabs it right into the Periton. And a 23.
That'll do it.
All right. So, well, that's 4 damage. However, you just see like this power just infused within the Periton. If it moves before my next turn, it takes an additional 1d8 damage.
Okay.
As the moving blade just slams into it.
Yeah, so I imagine you just see like kind of just some vibrating like sound waves just surrounding them, just kind of pulsating in the air around it. Perfect. Roland, what do you got?
Having been hit, I think my animalistic instincts are going to jump in. And so while I'm on my back, I guess Ghemash is on top of me. So as Ghemash is just kind of lying there reclining, trying to get his wind back, he feels that I'm getting a lot furrier. And by the time he turns around, he sees that there's a lion behind him. How would you act to that, Ghemash?
Ghemash looks down at the lion and just kind of looks back up at the Periton, and he looks between the two of them again and goes, "Sick 'em!"
Yeah. But using the lion's hunter instinct, I'm just gonna kind of like try to get down behind Ghemash, just waiting for attack. And I would like to ready an action if this Periton tries to fly again.
Okay.
And I would like to be able to basically try to pounce at it and take it down from the sky, like on a safari when a lion's taking down a big bird for dinner.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Is that it?
Yep.
All right. Okay, so you're crouched and you're pounced or ready to pounce on the kill. And what's Solarian doing now?
So I imagine Solarian would have held on while the Periton took off. But as soon as Ghemash like landed on this thing and started like grabbing onto it, and it just plummets to the earth, she would have flown free. But just seeing like it down on the ground again and even a little bit vulnerable would just come again, just like careening back in. This time, just like biting with her beak for any vulnerable part, or with her claw, mouth for any vulnerable points.
All right, let's see the roll.
And
That'll do it.
23.
Yeah.
So, that is 5 more points of damage as Solarian just kind of bites onto like a hunk, like not up in the neck, but maybe like on her back, like down around her, where the wings kind of meet there in that area.
Yeah, so Solarian bites down, and you notice this, still grounded, the Periton starts like rearing its head back, trying to hit Solarian with its antlers. As it does this, the wound in its chest from earlier with Thor, you notice another big burst of blood spews out from it, and it's an even more steady stream just pouring down its feathers. And Thor, we're on you.
Come on, Thor.
How far away is he from me now?
So about 10 feet away from you,
Alright.
right at the feet of Lorimar.
Seeing this, how this wound is still exposed here, Thor is going to try to make another stab at that, but he's going to try to, as it's being distracted by Solarium, he's going to try to run up beside it, run up its back and kind of stab with his rapier, like from over his shoulder onto this creature's like exposed wound here.
Nice.
Now you
All
still
right.
got advantage, right?
Yeah, it's still outlined in
Yeah.
those purple flames, pink flames.
16, yeah, plus 6, so 22.
Yep, that'll do it.
Alright. 8. Wow, I'm getting good with my rolls here. 11.
All right, so you can go ahead and
24.
describe finishing this guy off.
Yep, as it's distracted, I kind of get a running start 10 feet away, kind of nimbly sprint right up its back, take my rapier, and kind of put my hand on its head, push it away, and come around to the front of its chest with my rapier, stabbing at the same spot, managing to get it right in the heart. And all of a sudden you hear it just take a big, deep breath, big gasp, and it just falls over. Onto Ghemash.
Yeah. Yeah, so your rapier, it sinks home all the way to the hilt. And this creature initially fights, but then its antlers go kind of limp. And as it collapses to the ground, you notice its eyes just staring at the elf that it managed to kill earlier, and they glaze over like it missed its meal. And so we are out of combat now.
Lorimar says, "We eat good tonight, Ghemash."
So as soon as as the Periton falls and you chime in on that, you hear the fighting has, for the most part, died down in Phandolin. If you are to look over, you notice several of the buildings have burnt to the ground, and you see that Sildar is still fighting by the town circle that he was in earlier. And you notice that he thrusts his sword through the opening in the chest of a large dragonborn, striking a killing blow as this beast just collapses to the ground. Around Sildar, you can find a half dozen downed orcs, just all dead, with way more slaughtered villagers throughout the town. And looking further north into the town, you notice that the Crimson Watch, their bodies are littered throughout the streets. Their crimson cloaks adorned over all their bodies, and marching directly towards Sildar, you see a large group of orcs, and an even larger one is carrying a Crimson Watch individual over his shoulder. You can see the cloak flowing in the wind, and this individual is just slumped over, out cold. And as Sildar pulls his sword out of this dragonborn and he turns to face this oncoming group of orcs, they split paths for a moment and stop at the entrance to the circle, and walking in the middle of them, you see a large black-clad blue dragonborn figure stride into the circle, and you see him point to his sides and then forward, and these orcs veer off to either side of the circle, and they start to bypass Sildar and leave the town as this large dragonborn goes forward and pulls off one of his monstrous long swords and marches towards Sildar. And all of a sudden, everything goes black, and you wake up, and you are in the orc encampment.
Oh.
I'm guessing I'm not still lying.
No.
Was that a dream? What just happened?
Ghemash gets up and starts sprinting down the mountain.
Yeah, and Lorimar is, right behind. Can we see like smoke or anything?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that?
Is there smoke in the distance?
Distance? Is it,
So you guys are about a day and a half journey from Phandolin.
Son of a bee.
You
Do
had
I get my
to
spell back, by the way?
Yeah, well, you guys had to break at that small encampment where y'all met the owl earlier, and then travel just another 4 to 6 hours throughout the day. So that's about how long it'll take you to make it back to Phandolin.
Yeah, Ghemash is sprinting. He doesn't even recognize us. He's just going.
All right.
Do you guys have
And,
a better plan? I don't know where else we go from here. We were headed back to Phandolin, I think, anyway.
What does that crystal say, Ghemash, that you pilfered
I was
off
about to
of those
say,
orcs?
at that moment, Ghemash stops. And he looks down at the crystal in his hand. And he turns around and he explains his theory to everyone. About how he thinks that the
So-
crystals are like teleportation and like you can connect them one point to another type thing.
So teleport us back to Phandolin. Let's go, get out
So
of here.
Ghemash, when you look at this crystal and you're about to talk to everyone, you pull it out just like you did in your dream earlier, and you feel more vibrant emanations and pulsations of energy through it, and you see the path coalesce just as it did earlier, unlike it did in the dream. And this path, this time it has a path,
Is
and
mine
it does
doing
not
anything?
head. So yours just led to the orc encampment.
Yeah, right.
And when you try and grab it now, you just see it all kind of focuses on the encampment itself. There's no path leading from it. As you move around the encampment, you notice that it follows whatever path you travel. So it's like you're leaving a trail behind you from it.
Okay.
And
So
Ghemash,
now
your path
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Your path does not lead towards Phandolin.
What?
It leads in the so Phandolin, where you guys are right now, is due north, almost northeast, and your path veers off more west northwest.
Ghemash, we have no idea what this crystal is, what it means, what it leads to. But that was too real not to check out.
But was it real?
I
It could have
don't
all
know.
been a dream.
It could have been, but I'm not willing to sacrifice my mansion for a what could have been.
But can we do anything? Perhaps there's nothing left to do in Phandolin.
We can
Nobody there to
avenge
save.
We can avenge the town if that's what if that's what happened. I don't.
As you guys are discussing what to do, Ghemash is already disappearing around the wall.
Running back towards Phandolin.
Yeah, man.
How about Roland? What's Roland doing here?
Roland will cast Druidcraft to see what the weather will be like tomorrow.
Wait, is it supposed to be raining today?
No, cloudy
Yeah.
today.
So it's cloudy today, and you feel that there's an impending storm on the way.
Yeah, so I will warn them that wherever we go, we better be able to make it in a day, because tomorrow the weather doesn't look too well.
We walked and it took us a day and a half. If we run, we can do it in half a day.
Ghemash can't hear you guys anymore, by the way.
It's alright, we're used to it.
We know the way back.
Okay,
Well-
Ghemash, like as he runs past the tents, he's like, "See you, John," as he keeps going.
Nice.
If you want to check out Phandolin, then let's make haste.
I agree.
I don't think that there'll be much to save, but we can always pick up the trail from there.
If that black dragonborn is there, that black armored blue dragonborn is there, that's who we're after.
Oh, the Lorimar doesn't know that.
I saw him. I mean, if he killed Sildar, then
Now you know
That's
that, but
who
you
we're
don't know
after.
how much you're after him.
so. All right.
And
I
so,
would be running
so
after.
on that note, this is the first time that any of you, the party, has seen our friendly Dragonborn, if I remember.
It
Well,
is.
not me.
Well, in this light, I forget there was a hint, and you realize that's who it was last session. Ghemash, what clued you into his existence again?
Skeirun was talking about it. He was telling
Yes.
me that, like, I remember he said something about, how he follows, like, a new, like, something now. I can't remember what he said. But it was
Okay.
something about Skeirun.
So now that the party, they've seen
Oh,
him.
and John. John was talking about the big, ugly dragonborn who's bigger than me.
There you go. But anyway, so for Thor, Lorimar, and Roland, this is you guys' first character exposure to him, and if you can respond any particular way you might to Ghemash or Ghemash to the party.
Lorimar would just be like, Ghemash, I didn't think there were any Dragonborn uglier than you, but I have been proven wrong.
Ghemash doesn't respond because he's not there right now.
I don't think we ever pillaged through this orc compound. So could Roland be doing that very quickly?
Yeah, I think so. Do you want to kind of just let Ghemash and Lorimar run off, or?
Yeah, I know the way back.
Catch up.
Okay.
Bring anything
Yeah, so,
helpful that you find.
So as you go through the encampment, you notice the tents. There's knocked over bottles and flagons of ale, and the bedrolls with just nothing special as far as weapons or armor goes. But when you go across this one tent, you notice that there are two large crates. And when you pry them open, you realize that you estimate that this camp had close to 100 or more orcs, and you find a stockpile of rations for the entire encampment.
I can already see Roland's face. He's like,
Is there any type of cart around?
You find several like satchels and like knapsacks.
I will grab as many satchels as I can find and begin loading them up with rations.
Okay, so you get over 60 rations stuffed into 3 different knapsacks. You got 2 of them tied together, one on each shoulder, and then one strung like over your back on top of them.
And if the limitation is how much they weigh, I will wild shape into a horse so I can carry more.
We'll say you can keep an okay pace with those.
Okay. Am I the only one left? Or did Thoroar also stay back?
Yeah, no, I started running after Lorimar.
Yeah, so I'll just pick up a pretty brisk pace and hope that I'll be able to catch up with them with my quicker movement speed for too long.
Yeah, and with your tracking skills, you can follow their trail, no problem. And so for Ghemash, Lorimar, and Thor, you guys, since you're familiar with the trail and you're moving with haste, you do make better time. You realize, let me check real quick. So you crest the hill where you all stopped for your rest on the evening before, and there's no encounter, and you don't notice anything of note there, and you keep traveling on. So you travel. By this time, Lorimar has caught up to, or Roland has caught up to the group, and as you move from there towards Phandolin, if there's any sort of role play or talk between the group, you can feel free.
I'll ask if anyone wants any rations.
Lorimar asks, did you find anything useful?
And I'll just open one of my bags of rations and I'll ask if anyone wants any.
So nothing useful then.
Roland takes
All
offense
right.
to that. Animals are useful.
And how is Ghemash now that he's had several hours to process this? How is he behaving or reacting towards the party?
So Ghemash is... You're gonna see a side of Ghemash you've never seen before. You see, instead of joviality, just worry and, like... He doesn't seem to be thinking about anything else besides what could be happening in the town. So, like, he's not even thinking about, like, seeing Drogzal or seeing, like, the fires and the orcs. He's thinking about what might be happening to the people. So, like, up to this point, it's been about him and the party, but now it's about somebody else. So, like, he's just worrying. Like, you can see worry on his Dragonborn face.
All right.
Ghemash,
Anyone have it?
did you know that Dragonborn?
Let me see. 1 second. I feel like up to this point, Lorimar, he does trust the group. So he turns and looks at Lorimar over his shoulder and just gives him a curt nod. And he says, "You could say that."
Should we be worried? Should the town be worried?
I look at Lorimar again and say, let's just say that I've never met a more ruthless Dragonborn in my life.
Fair enough.
I say his desire and lust for power is endless, like the oceans.
I would like to share with the group that by all the rations I found, let them know that there are definitely a lot of orcs. I'm not sure the 4 of us can take all them on.
Good point.
I say we may not be able to take them all on, but lives must be saved.
I just don't want 4 more lives to be lost.
What about all those innocent people? I honestly came to your realm.
I look at Roland as he's saying,
Sorry.
And what about our mansion?
oh, the Renaissance man. I would look at Roland and say, I've been with you long enough, brother, to know that you would not abandon the needless and the helpless. You say, do not speak nonsenses like that.
I would look back and say, I trust the gods to take care of the people.
And I say, well, the gods need messengers, and I keep running.
Yeah, so as you guys are discussing this and talking back and forth, you've been hoofing it all through this morning, and you've been running late into the evening. And you realize that if you keep pushing, you're maybe another. So it's about 11:30, maybe 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. You realize you may be another half hour to hour outside the town if you keep pushing.
Can we see any flames, smoke, anything in the night sky?
So not quite yet. You guys keep pushing through?
Oh yeah.
Even if he takes the point of exhaustion, Ghemash is going to keep running.
And I
There
just
we go.
look at
Okay.
him and Thor and say, even if we don't help anyone, it's going to be fun. And then just keep on running.
I have to agree.
So you guys travel for another 15 minutes or so, and you notice Roland, you would notice first, and then everyone else would key in on it, that in the distance you see just a dull glow, and the moon's out, very full tonight, and it intersperses as the thick clouds move overhead. You see moonbeams cutting through to illuminate the town, and you see thick, billowy smoke all throughout the city. The air is thick and humid. The storm is just ready to crackle and burst. So this thick, humid air, the smoke all across the city is even more billowy and covering the expanse of it than usual. And you keep closing towards the city. When you guys are about 10 minutes out, you feel the first trickles of rain as it starts just to open up and unleash. By the time you guys reach the outcrop, which you left earlier, the rain is coming down so heavily that you can barely make out the edge of the town several hundred meters ahead of you. And you do notice there's still some fires blazing, even with the downpour of rain.
So Ghemash, not being as dexterous as he is, kind of slips and falls down the muddy slope, but he just gets up and keeps running. And
you're rebounded back by a spring. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, you son of a gun! I was about to say no freaking way. Okay, I feel like with a town so close, Ghemash would redouble his efforts. Not saying it'll make him go any faster, but just like he's making every effort that he can to get there as fast as he can.
Do we
Yeah,
hear like any sounds of battle or like we heard before? Or?
So you can hear the occasional. So at this point, you can't hear anything. You just hear the downpour of rain. I imagine the group has like a renewed sense of urgency as you surge forward, and as you move down the outcrop and you start crossing the plains, approaching the rear of your mansion. You will hear the occasional clanging of metal. You hear the general moaning of wounded and dying bodies, and no outright extensive battle as earlier.
Lorimar will be just right behind Ghemash, just charging into town.
I think Thor would overtake them both.
So where
to get up
are
to the
you
front.
guys heading?
I think you're right.
Well, we came out of that outcrop, right? That was like behind our mansion, so we'd come out. The closest
you
would be
guys
our mansion, right?
Your mansion is on the southeast corner of town. There's for landmarks, there was the kind of decrepit, ruined large building on the large hill to the east of town. The Crimson Watch tap house that you guys went to is on the far north portion of the town, and on the western side is the tavern, which leads right to the middle with the town circle and the mayor's hall and the mining exchange. Earlier, when you were watching, you saw clear to the town circle, which was where all the action was going.
Where was Sildar in our?
He was in that town circle. The orc forces were advancing from the south towards the north, and he was trying to stave them off as they came in, and then fight them off as they tried to leave as well.
I think Thor would try to make his way to the circle, the town center, to try to find Sildar.
Yeah, if
Everyone
Roland,
else follow suit.
If Roland has time to just like drop off all these bags of rations inside the mansion, so he's a little bit lighter, he would do that.
Yeah, you cross by the mansion, and you realize there doesn't appear to be any harm to it. It's untouched, and you crack the door and you throw them in the living room there, and you barely lose any distance. And I had way too many glasses of water, so I'm going to have to break for the bathroom real quick, and then we can get going.
Yeah.
Oh, that's better. I was about to die.
Nice, man.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's raining Druidcraft. Sure that helped any.
That's why I hate going to movies at the theater, man. Like, 'cause I hydrate all day long, and 2 hours is sometimes rough.
Dude, and then you don't want to leave because then you miss part of the movie, and you're like, I can't miss part of the movie.
Oh yeah. So yeah, hopefully throwing you guys for a couple loops in this session here.
Dude,
I like
if
to
I
try
see-
and keep you on your toes.
If I see Drogzal, I'm going to kick his freaking butt.
I'll see you try. So, anybody got any questions so far? Or we all feel good.
I don't know. I feel pretty good. I want to figure what these crystals do, but we got to save the town first.
Yeah, I want to figure out what the hell happened to town.
Oh yeah, you guys have done a great job of saving it so far.
Hey, you're the one that teleported us back to the freaking camp.
Was it me? Was it the teleport? Who knows?
You're the DM, of course, was you little son of a gun.
Dave, what would have happened if we tried to misty step through that barrier? Would it have ended badly?
Ooh. Oh, it would have been really... I would have made it up right on the spot, and what I'm leaning towards right now would have been pretty awesome and interesting.
Because that was my next step.
Your
that
next
would have been...
misty step.
Right.
That would have been interesting. You would have not been involved in saving Phandolin, but
The only thing that stopped me was I couldn't bring anybody with me. Like, if
Dude, I would have misty stepped with you, baby. I would have followed you
If
right
I could
through.
have grabbed onto somebody, and like brought them with me, then that was what I was going to try.
Dude, I'll follow you into the dark, man. You do it, and I'll follow you.
Tear a rift in the fabric of reality.
so Lorimar, going through all this rain, what has Solarian been doing?
Solarian would be flying just because Solarians, would not be able to keep up otherwise. But once the rain really started hitting, she'd be off on her own, not able to keep up with us.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So we will resume. You guys have just... are you good to go, Roland?
Oh no, I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so you guys, Roland's just dropped off his rations. We're all embarking for the circle in town, and you are all just drenched to the bone by this time. And you, as you're working past all these houses, you notice at least conservative 40% to a upper end of 75% of the houses and buildings are damaged, with at least half of the buildings in town crumbling or burnt entirely to the ground. City itself is just devastated, and as you walk through the streets, you step over bodies of just massacred villagers with sword wounds, either through their body or limbs hacked off or throats cut. The streets, even with all this rain, are still running red with blood. Intermingled, as you guys are on the south part of town, you notice very few orc casualties. It's just all villagers. As you approach the inner circle of town, even with this rain, all of your noses can sense that metallic scent of blood just mixing with the dirt and the water, and you start to see some downed orcs all of them with sword wounds on the main street approaching the main circle of town. Um, and you make it into the main circle, and the tavern is about the roof is largely burnt and collapsed on itself, but you feel the building itself can be salvaged or repaired. Not at this time. You notice the miners' exchange has been vandalized. The door has been broken into, but you notice no structural damage. And looking over at Barthen's provisions, you notice that it is totally burnt to the ground. And then you're on your way to the very center of town where there's the structure. And in this circle, you see nearly 2.5 to 3 dozen downed orc bodies piled on top of each other. Sword wounds, limbs chopped off, hacked off, dark blood just pooling all around them. And on closer look, you would realize that several of the orcs have bolts, crossbow bolts, riddled all over their bodies. And standing in the middle of the circle, if you look further north, on the path leading north, you'll notice just a long line of Crimson Watch bodies littering the side of the road. And that's where we are. What do you, what questions do you have? What are you doing?
These orcs.
Do we see Sildar?
You do not see Sildar.
Are these orcs wearing that the black spoke wheel?
Yes, so each of the orcs that you find, if you roll their body over, you notice every piece of leather armor or plate or whatever has the black will emblazoned on the upper left chest. Oh yeah, I think you got the mic up over here.
There we go. That's
There
better.
you go. Perfect. Yes, and you notice in the pile there are 2 or 3 Dragonborn bodies piled up as well. They have a much larger black wheel spanning the middle of their chest. And these all have sword wounds, but one. It has a crossbow bolt through the eye.
Do we see that big dragonborn just dead lying there? Sildar hacked it to pieces.
Yeah, who's checking this out? How is Ghemash reacting to these Dragonborn bodies?
I'm looking at each and every one of them, trying to determine if I know any of them.
So you recognize one of them. You knew in passing. You didn't have any close relationship with, but you recognize them as a member of the Skyrix's clan. Very very quiet individual. You notice that another one, let me look at the notes real quick. One sec. Good. So you notice that the other one you recognize as Rorik. This you remember that he was a very shifty salesman within the clan that you used to be involved with. And the third one, the big reveal, are you ready? Is not the other guy. You don't recognize him.
Okay, I figured as much. There's no way he's gonna go down from like a mining town where people don't know how to fight. So I pull their bodies out, the Dragonborn bodies, and kind of set them to the side, and I'll do their rites later. But I kind of look down at them and just shake my head. And I'm starting to think that, I'm starting to realize something's going down in the Skyrix's clan. So,
I'd say so.
I kind of growl to myself, and I am going to keep inspecting the bodies and trying to find Sildar. I'm going to look at these red watchers, what were they called? The Crimson Watch. I
Yeah.
find it very strange that they're all just lined up on the side of the road.
Yeah, as you're looking at these Dragonborn, any of you other guys, Ghemash both, you can notice that all these Orcs and Dragonborn are in a pile in the center of town. The Crimson Watch have been pulled off to the sides, and you notice that within the immediate circle, all the villagers have been lined up by each other off on the side by a building.
Did the Crimson Watch, like, were they like... And when we were watching, were they helping the village or attacking the village? Was this like a coup?
Oh, so good question. You noticed after your battle, prior to your battle, you only noticed Sildar and a few townsfolk fighting the orcs as they advanced. After you finished, you saw this group of orcs with Drogzal in it, carrying the Crimson Watch on the shoulders, and you noticed Crimson Watchmen pursuing them, battling the orcs.
They must have taken Glassstaff. That's who probably the person on the shoulder was.
Is there anyone alive that we can talk to find out?
Yeah, you said the tavern was in good shape, right? Would they be in there?
So when you look around trying to find someone, you notice that the town is just deathly still. You don't hear many noise other than the moan of people you hear off in the distance. You look and you see that the mayor's town or the mayor's building has glowing inside the windows.
Is the mayor dead? Tell me we see the mayor dead lined up on the side of the road.
I'm gonna go.
And he comes out.
the
The mayor comes out and gives you all a hug.
Oh man, this douche canoe's still alive.
No, that doesn't happen. But you see it glowing in the windows.
I'm gonna go right for the building then, the mayor's
All right.
building.
All right, you stride right in.
I dragged the Dragonborn bodies out of the street and like put them in like one of the kind of destroyed houses that has enough cover that the bodies won't get like saturated with the water.
How do you guys react to him doing this to the Dragonborn bodies?
I would help him. If he would let me.
I would look up at him as he came to help me and give him a nod of thanks, and I would drag them back there and cover each of their faces.
All right. And Thor is striding for the mayor's.
Yep.
Yeah.
I am.
Okay. And sorry, did you say you opened the door and roll in? Thor.
Roland would probably go with Thoroar.
Okay. So you guys just burst open that door and you stride in, and you hear more increased moaning now. Immediate sight, you can see lined in some of the off rooms. There are some villagers that you recognize have battle wounds, and they're sitting up against the walls, kind of with their wounds patched. But what catches your attention more predominantly is standing at the top. So this is a very ornate place with padded couches and good decorations, and a long stairway leading up to the mayor's building, the mayor's office you were in. You notice standing at the top of the stairway with his arms over a table, pointing at stuff, is Sildar, and he's pointing at something intently on the table. And you see him look off to his side. He's talking in the room to people who are around him. If you look at Sildar, you notice he is caked in dirt and blood and sweat. Like he hasn't even stopped to clean off after the battle for over a day.
So I'm gonna approach him. He's upstairs, right? I'm gonna go upstairs and approach him. Be like,
Yeah.
Sildar, what happened here? Are you hurt? And without even waiting for an answer, I'm gonna say, Roland, see what you can do for him.
All right. And
I will see what I can do for him.
So you guys say this, and you notice Sildar. He raises his voice up, or he raises his head up, and his eyes kind of widen a little bit, but in a sort of knowing look, he just kind of recognizes and he nods his head. He goes, "Good to see you guys are here. We sure could have used you earlier."
We took off for the mountains and we came upon an orc camp, but we were too late. They had left. We did not know where they went to, and we had a few battles with a dragonborn up there. Managed to kill him, but then we were transported back to here. Saw the battle, but we were not able to help before we were whisked away once again.
Well, I found your orcs, and I found your dragonborn as well. It was a rough battle. Phandolin is extremely damaged from it. Please tell me the rest are still here as well. Is it just you two?
They are outside.
And so we'll say about this time, you guys can finish up the Dragonborns, and Ghemash and Lorimar, you would roll in to the building, and you would see everyone here standing at the top.
Ghemash
of the stairway.
waits by the door. He doesn't go in.
Lorimar would go in.
He waits outside in the rain.
Yes, so you see Lorimar, you see Sildar standing up. He's just talking with Thoroar. And Sildar, you notice as he's talking, he looks over and sees you. He gives you a little nod, and he motions everyone in. And as you're coming in, he looks at Lorimar, and since you've just come in, he goes, "Is he staying out there? He's more than welcome to come in."
I think he needs a minute. He knew the large dragonborn who led this group.
Oh, I know him too. We'll talk about that soon. And as he turns and you all walk in, you notice that within the room, he's rather than the poshly decorated office you visited the mayor in, he's moved in cots and chairs and barrels full of water. And you notice sitting off in a corner are several figures, and directly to the side of the desk who Sildar was talking to earlier, you notice a very large and bloodied and dirty goblin. And you recognize this as Beanbop. And his warriors are over in the corner of the room. And Sildar is talking to you as he goes in. "Yes, I saw the large dragonborn who led this lot. He almost finished me off if it weren't for Beanbop here. He and his warriors came in the last moment possible, and they helped me secure the city. There are still remnants of orc left who they're finishing off right now on the outskirts."
Lorimar would say to Beanbop, "I thought I recognized those crossbow bolts. Your help is much appreciated."
"Oh yes, we saw orcs moving towards town. We could not stay. Had to help. Sorry we did not come sooner."
You did what you could. What can we do, Sildar?
Well, first, we need to talk about everything you found.
I think we need to bring Ghemash in for this. Lorimar would go outside and try to talk Ghemash into coming back in.
What does he find, Ghemash?
Ghemash is not there.
Not there. So we're going to pick up on Ghemash for a moment. Describe to me where Ghemash is headed to.
So you'd see the rain just pouring down, drenching the streets. The blood of the smell of blood still thick in the air, and it'd kind of pan around and look at Gamash's face, and you would see that his normal sky blue eyes are now just black with shadow. And in his hand he's holding his maul. And so he's barely leaving the town, and he's kind of listening to the sounds of clashing on the outside of the fringes. And he's walking towards the forest, trying to find something to take his anger out on.
So you hear the sound of battle, and you trudge off through the muddy roads into the grassy plains leading towards the edge of the forest, where you hear this. And as you are approaching the wood line, you're so focused and intent that you don't quite realize a set of footsteps padding up behind you to your left. And then all of a sudden, Ghemash feels a light touch on his shoulder, and turning around, you see it's so quick you only briefly turn. You see what looks like a blurred elf-like figure. And you see it's holding a crystal in its hand that it crushes. And both of you, like, your images blur and they whirl up and pop out of existence. And we're going to pause with Ghemash for now. Lorimar, you leave the mansion and you don't see Ghemash.
I would know that he just needed time with everything that happened. So I'd go back in, we can catch Ghemash up on what's going on. But we need to have this meeting with Sildar.
Okay, yeah. So you guys will summarize, and if there's anything specific you want to say, you can feel free. But you spend the next hour or so discussing intently with Sildar. You describe your journey, and if there's anything you want to include or lead out, just let me know. But you briefly describe the journey, the encounter with the orcs at the outpost, and the army moving on the Drow and the Shinies, and then your brief encounter with Skyrun and everything from last session. Now, if you remember, Roland, you have been plagued by 2 dreams of the same type. Lorimar, you have had 1 dream. It is up to you whether you're going through, if you want to include those or not. If you do, you can feel free to narrate it right now, or we can move on.
Lorimar would not be ready. It's a little too, hits a little too close to home, but I don't think he would be ready. I mean, even though he trusts Sildar, he doesn't have that kind of, friendship with him that he would be ready to share his dream.
All right. And Roland?
I don't think that Sildar could help me if I told him, so I just keep to myself.
Okay, perfect. All right, yeah. So you guys go through the recitation, and you just leave those out. You briefly describe Thor. You chime in like you talked earlier with your teleportation. He turns to you, asks for clarification on it, and you guys realize that at the time you were teleported, overlooking the city was over a day ago. It's like you were watching the city in real time. You equate that that was going on at the actual moment. Sildar's not. He tells you that he's not super comfortable or confident in his knowledge of magic, but you gather that it doesn't seem to be like you had any sort of premonition. And he spends the next while describing the attack to you. So you know that he had been readying just some meager forces just to protect the city. while he waited for reinforcements from Neverwinter, when all of a sudden these orcs marched through the south of the city. He rallied who he could to stop their advance, and fighting continued maybe for 10 to 15 minutes at most. Just like when you guys were battling the Perryton, you realized that's about all there was for the battle. So until he saw that the orcs moved immediately for the Crimson Watch, and they emerged, taking one of them out of town. At which point, Sildar faced off against the large Dragonborn, who appeared to be their leader, was nearly defeated in battle until Beanbop came and helps them rally. At which point, they've just been licking their wounds and helping all the villagers, trying to stave off any possible counterattack.
I'll take the tobacco I got from the John and the other one's camp and give it to Sildar and the goblins just to kind of reward their battling.
So you notice that as a good leader, Sildar passes it off to the goblins, and Beanbop takes a small bit and hands it off to his other warriors, who gladly take it all, and they go to town on it.
I'm going to ask Sildar, let's see, and what of the Crimson Watch? We saw one of them being carried off by the dragon.
My friend, I don't know what is going on with the Crimson Watch. We've been so preoccupied with collecting casualties and staving off the orcs, I haven't had a chance to look into it.
So he looks over at Beanbop. He looks at the wounded villagers on his side.
But they have not bothered us since the battle. I'm sure they're doing much the same. If you could look into it for me, see if they have any clue what the motivation of this was, I would greatly appreciate the input.
Very well, we'll be on it.
So what do you think? Do we want to head back to that inn where we were so unceremoniously booted?
I think that's our best lead. Either that or foul, well, we don't have Ghemash to foul his crystal, so it's the only thing we have going for us right now.
Shouldn't we look for Ghemash?
Right now we think he just went off to contemplate his existence.
Ghemash is deep like that.
Yeah, and Roland understands that, sometimes suffering takes a while to conquer, so I'm willing to go to the inn.
I think he just needs time.
Yeah, so we're going to make a beeline for the Crimson Watch's pub house.
Yeah.
Perfect. You make it unopposed to the northern part of town, and as you travel along, you realize that there are just countless Crimson Watch bodies as you go. The closer you get to the outskirts of town, they've been less ceremoniously drugged to the side of the road, but they're all just riddled with stab wounds and slashes, and their cloaks are just stained with blood. And you may get to the Sleeping Giant, which is the tap house you went to earlier, and you find the door. No one's there, and you find the door unlocked.
Well, just in case on the way there, I feel like Roland would check the bodies for keys or something else.
Good. Yeah, you notice a ring of keys on one of them. It's got about 4 keys on it.
Alright, I'll give it to the Renaissance man.
Alright, I'll take the keys.
Do we notice that giant Crimson Watch, the one that threw me? out of the sleeping giant inn. Do you notice his body among the casualties?
No, you do not notice it.
Well, then I would not just kick. I wouldn't kick the door in. I would probably knock first, and then just kind of like, if I don't hear anything, just kind of like peek my head in to see what what's going on.
Yeah, so you when you move into the tap house, you notice that tables are flipped to the side. You notice that bottles are broken. There's puddles of blood on the floor, and you notice that laying. So you walk in. There's the bar itself, where the bartender stands. Off to the side is a small room with tables. You notice about 2 crimson watch bodies laying there, and to your left, there's a small hallway. If you travel down it, you notice this hallway leads to a 10 by 5 foot storeroom, and directly at the entrance of this storeroom, you see your large friend slumped over against the wall. His neck is almost severed with just a small bit of flesh keeping it on its body, and chest is just saturated in blood.
Do any of these doors look kicked in, like somebody forced their way in here? Or?
Yeah, as you approach this large body, you notice in that storeroom, if you look closely, was a rug on the ground, which has now been thrown aside, and a stone door has been cleaved, just brute force shattered in two, and it leads to a stairway.
So I'm going to point this out to these guys. I'm going to say, it looks like they came here for something. It looks like the trail leads down these stairs.
Could I do some type of tracking check that would let us know whether they went in and came back out, or if they might still be down there?
So, with the scuffling, you can see that there are footsteps in the dried blood that show multiple footsteps, several pairs, but you see stuff tracking into the tunnel. You don't really see any scuffles or anything that shows anything leaving.
Alright, so yeah, with that, I'd let them know either they're still down there, or there's another exit / entrance into this place.
Well, Thor's going to make his way down.
Yeah, Lorimar's going to follow.
All right, and you like Solarians close the ground back with you guys again by now?
Yeah, Solarian would have caught up.
Okay. Perfect. All right. And Roland, you travel along too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me check my notes for one moment.
I think Lorimar, though, before he would have gone down, he would have went outside and just shot a firebolt, like straight up in the air, almost like a flare. Just, knowing that Ghemash can't be far, just to kind of give him a, an idea of where they are.
Oh, if only he knew. Yeah, no, that's perfect. Yeah, so this firebolt, it goes arcing into the air, somewhat dampened by the heavy downpour of rain, and then it illuminates the sky for a good while. And Roland, his firebolt hits an owl who plummets out of the sky to the ground. And Lorimar decides not to mention that at all.
I would keep that to myself.
I think you did, Roland. You're muted, Josh. What was Roland's reaction?
Oh yeah. I mean, Roland, of course, is inside, so he didn't see it. But
Yeah.
yeah, you might want to hide that and not just leave it on the doorstep like a cat bringing a prize to me.
Yeah. So Lorimar, you can move back to the tunnel, and how are we marching, moving down this tunnel? With Laura in the lead.
Yep.
All right, and we all have dark vision too, right?
Yep.
Yes, we do. Okay, cool. So, you notice that this is a stone tunnel, not an elaborate stone tunnel. It's dug into the ground. So the walls themselves are dug earth, like packed earth, and just like flagstones placed to lead the way. You descend maybe 20 to 30 feet down into the ground, and this tunnel levels out and just tracks, kind of slowly weaving through the earth. You walk. You've been walking for maybe 8 to 10 minutes, and you still see nothing. And and off in the distance, as you round a turn, you see a dim light, the opening of the cave.
And I would try to quietly tell Thor to just hold up for a second. And I would put my hand on him, and I would whisper some words in Elvish, and you would just see his body just completely disappear as he turns invisible. And I would say,
Nice.
"Go check it out, my friend."
And I don't even say anything because now I'm visible, and it's like a weird feeling, like not seeing myself. So I kind of look back at them, but they're not like really looking at me. So I kind of get the hint that I'm
Give him a
invisible.
big thumbs up.
Then I realize that I'm invisible, and then I start to make my way towards the entrance there.
Good. Yeah. So you travel the several feet towards the entrance, and you notice as it gets brighter and brighter, you emerge towards this opening, and when you leave the opening, you are stepping into a cavern, and this extends maybe 20 feet to the ceiling. It's all carved stone, this is not carved stone. You notice this appears to be a natural cavern. It doesn't look like it was constructed by man. It opens immediately to your left and right, and the width of the cavern at its max moves maybe 80 feet across. And as far as you can see down, over 100 feet is the end of the cavern, and it stays between 80 and 60 feet wide, so it's like a long sort of oval. Directly in the middle of this cavern, you notice a steep crevasse that extends very, very sharply. If you look down, you would estimate maybe 60 feet to the ground, and across this crevasse at both ends of the cavern are two bridges. And when you emerge, you notice that walking across the far bridge is a group of 4 Crimson Watch. And they're talking to each other. You notice some of them have their arms wrapped up with wounds, and you can't hear what they're saying, but you notice them heading to your left as they shut a door behind them. And that is where we will end it for the session.
Nice.
So that's what I got for you guys tonight. Ghemash, great job in the tunnel. I'm proud. And you did not stumble into any traps. It's a first.
Way to go. There's a first time for everything, man.
Yeah, that was a good one, guys. Trying to change the feel of each session every week, so hopefully that was something new. Again, we'll open it up for any closing remarks from you guys or Ty, but otherwise that'll be it for us.
Damn it,
Ghemash?
Ghemash never split the party.
Did Ghemash just step into the Twilight Zone? Is that what just happened? Or like... I wasn't expecting that. I thought you just let me kill a couple orcs in anger, but...
Yeah, I've got an idea of what I'm gonna do with that. We'll see what happens. I'll have to figure it out.
Interesting. Okay. Cool, man. That was fun.
Oh, good. Roland, your rations are safe.
Did any animals make it into the mansion?
And one owl didn't.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh.
Don't worry. We'll
You guys
leave
are
that
gonna
out later.
y'all are gonna find the mansion just like flooded with rats and all sorts of vermin when you get back.
That's wet dog smell.
Yeah.
Home, sweet home.
All right, well, good then. So that'll do it for this week. We'll pick back up again next week.
All right.
That's all I got. So we'll do it next week.
That was
Super fun.
Yeah,
Anyone
thanks,
watching,
Dave.
make sure to check out the OSG Tabletop One Shot group on Facebook. It's great. So I guess we can end there. It was fun, guys.
All right.